I think you have to make a decision that you almost have to put yourself before your kids sometimes. And maybe you think the best thing to do is to stay together. But I really believe that actually, if you do that, we worry a lot that divorce is going to really mess kids up, and don't get me wrong, that can happen, and people can really have issues that they need to work through later in life or whatever because of it. But you can stay together and argue all the time, or have a tension in the house, or whatever, that is going to have as much, if not more, of an impact. And welcome to season 2 of Self-Discovery in Good Company. I am Stace.
Hi everyone. I'm the other Stace. I am affectionately known as the other Stace. How are you?
Season 2. How are you?
Fine. I just think we should address the fact that we didn't tell anyone we were taking a hiatus. And
I think part of us were like, well, I don't care.
I know. I was a little bit like, will anyone actually notice that we do? But we thought, no, we'll finish season 1 and take the summer off, and then we'll come into season 2. But we didn't tell anyone. We didn't tell anyone.
And I think actually why as well is because we were planning on doing an extra one.
We were.
But I think I fell asleep putting Harper to bed one night or something like that.
Something like that.
And then there was something with you as well. It was like, children. So we were just like, see in September. And it's actually now October. Just October. But
I know. Because we were meant to do it a couple of weeks ago as well, honestly.
And then we went for a wine instead.
I know. Well, that was needed, I think, that week.
Needed.
I was like,
we were actually brainstorming a bit.
A little bit.
On the walk home, yeah. I think we were like, the podcast. When will we do it?
That is so us. I love that. I love that.
But how was your summer, Stace?
Summer was a distant memory, but good. So I'm back at work now. I'm back at work.
You are. Do you know, I get loads of people asking me, what's Stacey doing with work? I was like, well,
what is she doing with work? What is she doing with work? Well, I'm back. And the juggle is real. Monday to Wednesday, because I'm only working Monday to Wednesday now. And that is, I've said this to you before, like I come home on a Monday and I'm like, shit, I've got to feed these children. I've got nothing to feed them because I've been in work mode and I've been thinking like, just every ounce of me is like, get myself to work, get these kids dropped off the right places, pick them up. I've forgotten I need to feed them. So I've had that a couple of times where I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. So it's been a little bit of a juggle, but work has actually been really good. I've actually really enjoyed it. Going back and, being around people. And I am, this is absolutely true. It's 100% easier being at work than looking after 2 feral 18-month-olds. Honestly,
isn't it?
Like, it is way easier. So they're kind of like a day off, even though I'm working. But like I'm at home on a Thursday and Friday. Today I'm like, oh my God. Like, I'm absolutely knackered. Like, I don't feel like this after work. But it's all good. Boys have settled, absolutely smashing it. Nursery. I can't remember where we left the childminder nursery chat. But
I don't know if nursery was a thing. I think it was the childminder.
It was the childminder. That did not go so well. So that delayed my plans of going back to work by a month or so, but they're in nursery, costing me a small fortune, but absolutely amazing. They're loving it and they're thriving. They're doing so well at it. So it's all worked out the way it was meant to, because I believe
they like going in, don't they?
They love it. They absolutely love it. They love it. So I couldn't be any happier with the way it's worked out. if it was free. But other than that, but I know
working
you're
on
working
that.
on that. You are working on that, Stacey. You are doing everything in your power, and I flipping love it. So yeah, one day, I keep saying to my sister, it's only 18 months till I get funding. It's only 18 months. I just have to survive 18 months. And she's like, yeah, not that you're counting and anything. But
I'm
yeah.
not surprised though.
Oh,
Such a long, it will feel like a long time thinking about it like
the
that.
childcare thing we can come back to another day.
We'll do a
'cause,
whole episode on that.
You have obviously been working, and like I was meant to kind of been helping, and I have just not had a second
You did
to be
help
able
the other day. You helped. So
Oh, I helped with one thing, but
we have two comms people that have two young twins. So between you,
what is
I feel
odds?
I know what are the odds. So between you, I
unbelievable.
feel like you are a person. So
Well,
yeah, you did a great job the other day.
Yeah, she's
And we've
doing
got the petition
amazing
now.
work.
It's going to the Parliament. What is it called again? It's going to basically
You
the
discussed,
Parliamentary Committee,
Mm-hmm.
which interestingly, again, we could do a whole podcast episode on it. Interestingly, is 5 men.
Shut up. Oh
I know.
my
Find
God,
that
I
out
can't
today.
even. Do you know what? That would just hack me off from the very
I
beginning.
was like, how do we address that? How do we address that? And we're getting coached quite well by someone who like works in this organization that are amazing, and they basically look at how fair decisions are, policy is, all of that for women. Scottish Budgetary Group, because they're like, do you have the right people in to make decisions? So I was like, right, we should call that out. We should say like this is a concern of ours. Can we escalate it? And she's basically like, no, do not do that.
Oh,
But
the thought was there.
The thought was there. But the thing is, that is just the whole systemic issue that we have. That
and we should definitely. I know we've spoken about it before, but we should definitely do a wee update on that and kind of where things are at, because you guys have been really working hard to drive that change, and it's amazing.
Thank you. You're so sweet. So no, that's good. And my summer was really good as well. I went away on holiday. You went away as well.
I did go on holiday. It was just parenting in a different country, though.
See, mine was more relaxing because I had I wouldn't call it 4 live-in babysitters with my family, and Harper's older, so it's easier.
I won't call mine a holiday.
No, I wouldn't call yours parenting in a different country.
That's all it was. But it was nice because it was hot.
And it was so great. You're doing it again in 2 weeks' time.
I know. For God's sake. Glutton for punishment. I don't know why. But this time I will have lots of helpers. Yeah. Because we are going with a big group of us. So whether they like it or not, they're going to be manning children. So I can at least get a dip in the pool and not do what. A nap
by the pool. Is there anything better?
A nap and a cold beer by the pool.
See, I don't like beer, but I wish I
you're
did
missing out on holiday. It's amazing.
I know.
It's the only time I really drink it, and it's sensational.
Maybe I should try them on holiday more.
It's just, honestly, nothing beats it. Midday, I go from 4:30 wines when I'm at home.
You're very structured with timing when it comes to having a drink.
Well, the minute midday hits, we're like, midday beers? Absolutely. And we do that, and it's lovely.
4:30 wines?
Exactly.
We're on it.
Yeah, that's me. And what are we going to talk about today, Stace? First episode back. What are we going to talk about?
So today we are going to talk about, we don't know what to call it. And that's the first thing we're going to talk about.
That's why I was asking you, what are we talking about?
And I'm like, we don't know what to call it, but we're basically going to talk about, in the summer, I set up the Independent Mamas Circle, which is basically for single moms, co-parents, solo parents, solo moms, whatever you want to call it. And we'll talk about that in a minute. I set that up, and it's something that I'm really passionate about. And basically it's just a group. We've met up twice. I think we've had 2 meetups, and we have also had a couple of exchanges in we've got it on an Instagram group, like in the Instagram group, like one parent had a challenge that they were facing around kind of childcare provision and money with their ex and things like that. So someone asked a question and we put it into the group to get a bit of feedback.
That's amazing.
So, I know.
That's so good.
I know. Really nice, actually.
That's lovely.
And I think it's just when I became a single mum, solo mum, whatever you want to call it, I found it quite isolating at times. And that's somebody with loads of friends, loads of family around me. But I think there was moments where, like at the weekends, perhaps, I wouldn't necessarily want to say to my friends, oh, do you want to do anything? Like I would do things, but I wouldn't be the one that instigated it because I felt like that's kind of family time. And I was quite conscious of that. That's my own stuff. Like no one would have made me feel like that. But I thought if there was a way of connecting people who are in a similar boat, and actually what had happened, how I went and did it, was that I heard something that really annoyed me and it fueled me, which is often what I think is
remember
the case.
A voice note, an angry voice note coming through and you're like, I'm going to do something about this. I'm going to set up this group. It's like,
I think actually it would be, I am going to take this energy and put it into something productive because that is what I do. That is what we do.
That is what we do.
So that is what we did. And you know what, it was so lovely. And I think there's over 20 people.
I love that. And you know,
which is really
that is,
lovely.
again, like making change, like giving people something like, you know, that they can relate to. And like, you know, like you say, ask questions in and just make connection. And we are all about community. Like we love a community. And yeah, you've done that good, Stacey. So your summer was definitely more productive than mine.
Well, I'm not sure. But yeah, no. So that is what we're going to talk about today. And I think I'm really passionate about it because I am one, whatever we want to call it. And
what
also,
are we going to call you for this episode, though? So what do you like to be called?
Call me a single mum. And
single mum.
I think what the issue is that potentially that people think the term single mum is derogatory or negative or something like that. But I don't see it like that. However, when I was saying about naming it, there was someone that I was speaking to and I said, you know, co-parenting, but I think we need to recognize that not everyone co-parents.
No.
And even people that do co-parent, to me sounds 50-50. Yeah. And even if it is 50-50 in terms of when you have your child, it might not be the emotional burden or the person that makes sure that they're aware of school trips and birthday parties and clubs and the person that person will go to if they're really upset or, you know, whatever it is, that's never, I don't believe that'll ever really be 50. It might be, maybe I'm sure Gwyneth and Chris have this nailed, Paltrow. Because they're the one I think that came up with this term. And I like the sentiment behind it. Unconscious
coupling.
Is it? Conscious uncoupling?
I can't even remember. I remember at the time thinking, I don't even know what that means, but okay. That's what it was.
That's what it was. But I think it's like, I like the sentiment behind it because it seems like you're doing something together. So I would say that I am raising my daughter with her dad, like in a partnership of some sort. And I think how you define what that is depends on loads and loads of things. But what I'm also passionate about is that you are in control of that narrative. And it doesn't have to be, it can actually be a really positive experience. So like my mum and dad split up when I was 11. And at the time, I was really, really upset. And my dad actually did 50-50, which for me at the age that I was, which is like, well, I'll let you do the math. I'm 37, just because I can't.
Now, would this have been the late 90s or early noughties? Because at that time, it maybe wasn't such a thing, but maybe wrong. I may be wrong because, again, that wasn't my background.
There was me and one other girl in my class, I believe, and you know, like I might have distorted this memory, but no, there wasn't because there was someone else. But let's say at the time that happened, I remember there was me and one other girl in my class. But I mean, let's say 80% of the mums and dads would have still been together. And I remember like it being like feeling like a big thing. And I remember like one of the mums and dads that were split up didn't speak. So they got 2 letters. Whenever we got letters home, that child got 2 letters. So I remember going in thinking, oh, this is amazing. I'm going to get 2 letters. And the teacher was like, you're only getting 1 because your parents still speak. So they can just tell each other what's on the letter. Before there's apps and emails and all that sort of stuff. So, but I remembered it like my dad being 50-50 was
That's
rare
amazing.
because most of them were every second. Most dads kind of seen their kids every second.
Everyone
weekend.
that I grew up with, and that was always they were going to their dads every second weekend.
Yeah.
That was always what it was. So that does feel like that was quite new age of your dad at that time, I suppose.
Yeah. And like my mum spoke about it, and she'll listen to this, so you can tell me what you think, Mum.
Hi, Mum.
But like, hi, Mum. But my mum spoke about it, and my mum was like, your dad pushed for that, which I think, you know, it's not that she didn't want me less. It's not that. My dad pushed for it. And,
of course.
you know, really, now I look back, and at the time, I really found it upsetting. I didn't like bits of it. I didn't like the fact that my stuff wasn't where I wanted it to be. That was like the biggest thing for me. Like, I wanted to wear a top, and it was my mum's. And my mum, at the end of me kind of living with them, lived really close to my dad, but for a while, she was like 40 minutes plus away. She lived beside him, Brody, lived Portland, lived quite far away from my dad lived. So like if my stuff wasn't there, that was the biggest stressor for me. So I think when you're a teenager, there is that. But like I so look back and so admire my dad now because he just loved me and my brother so much that he wanted to do that. So I think I probably have a framework that I know can be positive. And don't get me wrong, whenever anyone is splitting up, I don't believe that it'll always be completely amicable all the time.
No.
Because there's emotions, there's potentially different expectations. One person wants it, maybe one person doesn't. There's financial stuff, there's the actual kids, there's so much going on that it would be unrealistic to think there wouldn't be any tension at any point. But I truly believe that the best thing is that the kids are surrounded by positive energy and positivity, and they know how loved that they are. And they even it's okay maybe for them to know that there is a bit of friction sometimes, because you need kids to understand emotions and, you know, not be completely bubble wrapped. But I just think that the narrative that we've grown up with in terms of like the wicked stepmom and all of that, it doesn't help how people feel about this situation. Whereas actually, it's honestly the best thing that ever happened to me. Like, well, no, Harper probably is. That's really not bad. One of,
my daughter.
one of the best things, and I'm not, and you know, Stace, because you're like my bestie. Like, that is not me saying this on a podcast or like faking it till I make it.
No.
It's genuinely how I feel.
Yeah. You are utterly remarkable when it comes to this. I mean, it's it wasn't without challenges and upset and all of that. But my God, the way you guys have handled it and the place you're in now is it's unbelievable. Yeah. I would only wish that everyone could kind of get to that place.
And it is like and you know this, because I mean, God, you've had probably hundreds of voice notes of me crying. But luckily now you don't normally get that unless it's a full moon and I don't understand why I'm crying, or it's something ridiculous that I'm crying about. Yeah. But yeah, like it's a process. And I mean, when it first happened, it's funny because when I first realized quickly that I was no longer going to be in that relationship, that was like my decision. I was like, I'm done. The first thought that I had was, I don't want Harper to have a stepmom. That was genuinely the first, and I remember it vividly, the first thought that I had. Oh my God, I don't want Harper to have a stepmom. Oh my God, I can't not be with her all the time. Yeah. Because I think as well, maybe I really realized it because like that's what I had in my upbringing. Yeah. And actually, what I found is like my worst case scenarios, my worst fears have become true. Harper's dad has a girlfriend who he's had for 2.5 years. I think something like that. I think it must be over 2 years. And, you know, it's fine. Actually,
It's totally fine.
It's totally fine. She's not replacing me in any way. And I know why you feel that. This is not me diminishing anyone's feelings around any of that. She's not replacing me in any way. She has a place in Harper's life. And it actually, don't get me wrong, it hurts. You know, the first time Harper accidentally called me her name, which she does if she's been at her dad's for like a night, she'll come back here and she'll be like, Daddy. And then she'll be like, oh, Mummy. And she's done that to me with his partner's name. And don't get me wrong, the first time you're like, oof, that really like is like a sucker punch.
Sledgehammer, yeah.
But at the time, she's like 2 or she's 3 or whatever she was like.
And she's little. She hasn't done it on purpose.
No, and actually like the fact that she goes to her dad's house 2 nights a week and there's somebody there who really cares for her, loves her to pieces. I get on well with, like, you know, well enough. We have like, you know, when we see each other, we'll chat. We had Harper's birthday party last weekend and we had like me and her dad. It was the first one that we did together. We had his girlfriend, his mum, his dad, all my family, my partner, his kids. Like,
absolutely amazing.
And actually, it was really lovely. Like the most stressful thing, I think, was the fact there was like 35 kids there.
Yeah.
That bit to me wasn't stressful. And honestly, like if you'd have told me that like 2 years ago or something, I'd have been like, oh my God,
you wouldn't have believed it.
So
you wouldn't have believed it. You wouldn't have believed that you would be in that place. I don't think. It takes work. Like it, and that's the thing as well. Like it's actually really easy to stay angry at somebody and to stay frustrated and to be like, to use the kids, you know, in a way that some people, you know, they feel so low and frustrated. It's the only thing they can really do is pull at that. Yeah.
And it's the easiest thing to do. Mm-hmm. It's within your reach. You know, it's very easy for you to say, well, you can't do this, you can't like, and that is me saying it with kind of with love and understanding because I know why it's very easy to do that. But ultimately it doesn't help you to hold on to kind of anger or whatever. I am reminded daily in a positive way why this happened, that I'm like, I'm a better mom. I am so present, apart from like my phone and stuff. When I'm with her, it's like, it's just me and her. So we're like little like best friends. Like tonight, my God, actually hysterical. She got like a bug collecting kit for her birthday. So she put it on tonight and I was around the house hiding all these little plastic bugs and she was like, I'm the bug hunter. And she was running around with her little binoculars and her magnifying glass. And I was honestly like nearly crying, laughing. And like, I do things with her that her dad wouldn't. We want to do. We probably want to raise her the same way. And we've not had anything, and she's only 4. There might be things along the way, but that would be the same if you were in a relationship. You would have different expectations. But what the things that we want to do with her, I would say are very different. Therefore, I am a better mom because I do what I want with her. You know, I wouldn't do anything disrespectful to him, and I am respectful. And you know, we've got a really good rhythm now. Like his mum's been over the last few weeks, so on a couple of occasions, I've been like, do you know what? My mum's supposed to have her, but your mum's not here often. Does your mum want to have her? You know, I was supposed to have her, but I was thinking like, if your mum's free, she might want to spend some time with her. And then equally, like I've got plans with my friends. I'm doing a sponsored walk on Saturday. She's supposed to be with her dad. And I was like, would you mind if I have her? He's like, yeah, no problem. And like, that is a 2-way thing. Yeah. It takes time to get to that. But honestly, when you think about it logically and you take the emotion out and you take all of the hurt out and the anger and the resentment and all of that, and it's harder, you know, if somebody perhaps had an affair and stayed with that person, I can imagine that is,
oh gosh, yes,
awful.
I can imagine really, that's really awful.
Hard. But I have a friend that happened to, and she is incredible. Her outlook on things. So you can get there, but I'm not saying it's not hard. It's what I'm meaning. But if you think about it logically, like why would you not want to be like that? Who wins?
But how
wins?
do you get there now? Like, it's maybe a personal question, but did you speak to anyone? What did you do to get to that place? Because I can imagine there are a lot of people that, and you're obviously really, like myself, really spiritual, really, really mindful of those things. But say that's not what you're used to, and this happens to you. What can you do to get rid of that anger? Like, do you speak to people? Like, what is it? What did you do?
Let's just say, like, precursor this with, like, I am not the pinnacle in this. I'm sure there's other better ways. But I think for me, the things that I did was I had friends around me that were just incredible. And I have you, I have best friends from school, from uni. Like, I literally have like 6 people perhaps that I could walk to their house from here, that I know I could just do, I could cry on their shoulders.
Yeah.
I could say, they would support me in any way. And I feel so, so, so lucky for that. So I think having people around you that you can speak to is really important.
Mm-hmm.
I went to see a therapist, counselor therapist, which first one was awful. I think it was focused.
Yeah, I remember that.
Didn't like her.
I remember that.
Cried for half an hour, and I came through like
they were awful. Yeah.
Oh, it's horrendous. The second one was good. And that can be really, really, really helpful.
Yeah.
Because actually what it is in a way is like, and I didn't think about this when I was preparing for the episode, it's grief
of course
of a farm.
Grief of the life that you thought you were going to have. It is grief.
Yeah.
It is absolutely grief.
But it's so funny. I don't know if I said this to you, but I said this to my other friend the other day. I think I said to myself, in my head, I was grieving stuff that actually wouldn't have even happened.
Yeah, you did say that to me.
Like, I was grieving, like, we would sit down and we would watch a family movie together and we would do that. And I'm not saying that wouldn't have happened, but actually our lives didn't really work like that when we were together.
No.
And this is not me bashing my relationship, because I actually believe I was in a really good relationship until I wasn't. And I'm very lucky like that. It was like a switch. And, I didn't have to go through years of hurt and things like that. No. It was like a 5-minute switch.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, like all these things in my head, I was like, I'm just idealizing that. I don't actually think that was reality.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm actually in a place where I can, like, me and Harper do movie nights on a Wednesday night after nursery. We'll put some popcorn on and we'll sit down and we'll have a laugh. And so it's almost like, I think the spirituality thing super, 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 super helped me. Probably one of the biggest things, because
I would agree with
I held on to that hope, and like with you helping me with that as well, that everything actually happens for a reason. Mm-hmm. And obstacles or detours in the right direction. So
I think we said that a lot. We said that a lot, didn't we?
Yeah.
Gonna get that put on your headstone.
Oh, you should. You should. Because I honestly say it all the time to people in work situations, and I coach, in my coaching. But yeah, like I do believe that. And I think sometimes, like, good things, you perceive good things to end because even better things are coming. And I remember clear as day being in Duffy Park with you and saying to you, but I'll never get anything this good. And you were like, but maybe you don't even know what good is.
Yeah.
And honestly, at the time, I was like, wouldn't have believed you. It is the absolute truth. Like, I think you have to make a decision that you almost have to put yourself before your kids sometimes. And maybe you think the best thing to do is to stay together. But I really believe that actually, if you do that, then, and you don't, and it's not positive, and like, we worry a lot that divorce is going to really mess kids up, or, really, and don't get me wrong, that can happen, and people can really have issues that they need to work through later in life or whatever because of it. But you can stay together and argue all the time, or have a tension in the house,
or
whatever, that is going to have as much, if not more of an impact.
Totally. That can cause trauma in itself, growing up in an angry, unhappy home. I think kids really benefit from having two happy parents. And if that is that they're happier when they're apart, then absolutely.
Completely. So I think, back to your question, because I've gone off topic as usual, but I think spirituality really did. And like, I did things that I knew would make myself feel better, like visualization, like visualizing me and Harper being happy together, me having a home. Like, I believe I love my last house. I love this house way more. Wouldn't have thought that. But anyway, that's how things work. Thinking about, just creating, and I'm seeing friends do this with grace and beauty, honestly. And it is just the most beautiful thing to see, that when life hands you a card and it's not the deal that you thought you were going to do, that you take it and you go, right, what am I going to make of my life? How am I going to take control of this situation? How am I going to make the best out of this situation? And I think that is just the most beautiful thing to see. So I think spirituality really helped me. Visualizing, practicing gratitude.
Yeah.
Crying my eyes out whenever I was sad. Also, can't recommend that enough. I remember phoning you one day and being like, I need to do something to make myself feel better. And you were like, sometimes, Stacey, you just have to sit in it.
Yeah,
you just have to sit in it.
It's the worst thing. Nobody wants to have to sit in that feeling, but it is. You just have to sit in it and go through it. I don't think there's any other way around it. You just have to sit in
it. You just have to sit in it, because actually what I've done is, what I wanted to do was make sure that I didn't carry any of that baggage with me. And I do believe if you don't actually sit in it, if you bounce into the next relationship or whatever it is, then you're not working through it the way that you perhaps should. And that's worse.
Yeah.
You're suppressing it. So I think that, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to wake up with Harper this Christmas morning. She's going to stay at her dad's. It's the first time that she'll have done that. But in my head, I was like, that's fair. Like, I think I've fairness is one of my kind of core values. And I'm like, well, it's fair that he gets to experience that with her, because it falls on one of his days. That's how we've worked it. So I was like, okay, well, that's just the way it is. And don't get me wrong, will I wake up on Christmas Day and probably have a bit of a cry? Christmas Eve, probably have a bit of a cry. Probably. But will I then think, right, do you know what? When do you get up Christmas morning to yourself? Maybe I'll go out a really nice walk. Maybe I'll have a bath. Maybe I'll do something. It's almost like romanticizing it. And that's another thing I think that I'm really fortunate for, that like my friends will be like, God, like, you get to do this, or you get to do that. I'm like, yeah, get divorced. All this, you'll have at least 2 nights a week or whatever to like do your own things. So like, highly recommend. But like, it's like, that's another thing that I would say is like, do things for yourself. Like, if you always know, like, me, Tuesday night that you're going to be free, right? Tuesday night's my night, I do this, or I go and see someone, or I go for a walk. So I think being busy is another thing I would say. Try and make sure that you're busy and that you're surrounding yourself with people, not to numb it. And I think at points I was like, well, am I doing that too much? But I personally think it's a positive thing to be around people that care. And actually, what you'll probably find is that more and more there's going to be people in the same circumstance as you, which has really helped me, like almost role models who are like maybe a year or 2 years ahead of me.
Find those people. Find those people.
That's what I would say. Anything else, Stace, that you think, being a very close observer?
Yeah, a very close observer. I was a very close observer, and it was utterly horrific to watch one of your best friends go through something so awful. It really, really was. But I just always, and again, this is me, like, singing your praises, like the way you have handled everything with like such grace, and you are a shining example of how it should be done, and how to navigate this and move forward. So I really think you should give yourself a pat on the back for that.
Oh, you're so lovely. Thank you.
No, but it's the
And
truth.
like, I still have moments of like rage about it or like the situation, but not about the parenting bit.
No.
Not about the
And I
parenting bit.
will say again, from just an outsider, you guys have like, you know, you've got a good rhythm going. You've got a good parenting relationship. And like, that's like what I said before. I would wish that for anybody going through that.
Totally.
And I know that's not always the case. Like, I know it's not, but that would be my wish for everyone going through that, is that they could get to that point.
Totally.
Where you
and I
guys
think
are.
as well, it like, you know, that's not an overnight thing, but it's thinking about, right, well, what are some of the things that it's going to work completely differently for everyone, but just thinking like, what would a middle ground look like? How could we perhaps get there? And I think it's once you get through the financial stuff and the custody stuff and all of that, it becomes much easier, because that in itself is an unnecessarily painful process, can be made more painful as well, depending on how much you're agreeing on stuff.
Yeah.
But even just the way that it is in, like, you have to be split up for a year. Like in some Scandinavian countries, can't remember the one, it's so easy to get divorced. It's literally like £300 and a sign piece, something like that. It's ridiculous. Whereas here, it's really difficult.
Yeah, they don't make it easy for you.
But I would say that as well. I would say like I would have never thought I'd have been in the situation that I was in 5 years ago, however long. Anyway, I wouldn't have put my 4 years, Harper's 4. I would have never thought that by Harper's turning like 6 and a bit months, we'd be split up. I would have never, ever, ever thought that. Never thought that.
Wasn't on my bingo card.
Yeah, I know. But honestly, we say that, thank God it was. It's that wild card, thank God it was.
I'm so grateful that it was.
That's,
yeah.
So Stacey, is there anything like that you think I haven't covered, or you wanted to ask about it?
No, I mean, you've covered all of the deep and important stuff really well. I have a practical question.
Love it.
Because
okay.
Practical is how I work. But it comes to like Harper going away to her dad's for like the 2 days and that. Do you like have to every week like pack a bag for her, or or how does it work? Like when you're co-parenting, does she have like full wardrobe, full toys, full like toiletries, whatever you would need at her dad's house, and then everything else at your house? How does it work? Like, because I'd be like, I wouldn't be giving away my good stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Like, no, that top was expensive. That's staying in my house. It's not going. Like,
I think
really daft?
You're saying it's daft. It's probably my biggest bugbear of the whole situation. Because so what we do, and it's not really about him, or it's like so what we do is like he'll buy her the odd thing. I buy her most of her clothes, but that's fine, and I don't mind that. So what basically he has drifted to his house, I would say.
Okay.
So she'll turn up sometimes, or his mum has bought another. I hope she doesn't. Like, she can't listen to this. But another real good advantage is that if they get clothes from like your mother-in-law, you don't have to put them in it. I remember Harper came home one day and I was like, what is that jumper? You're going out with your Auntie Kirsten straight off. So, and I give some of the stuff back.
I'm like, take that.
Here's your stuff that your mum's bought her. And she's lovely. I actually here's mum's lovely. And
I know.
I wouldn't have anything bad to say about her, but you know, styles are probably a bit different. But yeah, Harper's stuff that has drifted across to his is his. He doesn't have loads of stuff for her. To be honest, I'm actually okay with that as well, because I find at her age there's a lot of waste. So if we were both to buy her like loads of stuff, then it's a bit wasteful, and I'm really conscious of that with like nursery clothes getting ruined, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But what we do is he's got all pajamas, he's got like a comforter the same as me, he's got like all the stuff. So she literally does not need a thing and goes to his house. But the annoying thing is when you've bought something nice And I've seen myself do this before she goes to His. He picks her up at 4:30 on a Friday. And I'm like, oh, let's just change your top. Get you out of there. Get you out of that Zara one, because I might not see it again.
Yeah.
Or one day I was like, desperately, like I bought her this little bomber like jackety thing. And it was really nice to like go with loads of stuff. I couldn't find it anywhere. And I was so annoyed. And I was like, I asked him like 4 times. And this also happened recently, which has still not been found, with like a twin set thing, like a cord.
Oh, no.
And I've got the shorts, I don't have the top, but I was like, the shorts go with nothing. That's annoying. So the practical bits are annoying. So it's like, about 3 times, have you found this bomber jacket yet? Like, have you checked in your cupboard where you put your jackets? Please check, please check, please check. 6 months later, that's how long it was. I went to do the ironing. And it was. Did I message and say sorry? I can't remember, but probably not.
That is so funny, sitting at the bottom of your ironing pile.
I was like, that's how long it takes me between ironing. I was like, oh God, I made such a huge deal about this jacket. I mean, it is. But I think it's because I think it's so wasteful, and the money bit that annoys me. But everyone does it differently. I know people who do pack bags. I think especially like, because she's there 2 nights a week, she'll come home and I'll be like, please, she's going out today. Can you please not put her in nursery clothes?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think he knows. I don't think she nursery clothes. But that's a guy thing, generally.
I don't think my husband would know what the boys' nursery clothes are and what the good clothes are. Yeah.
I remember when she was like 18 months or something, she went in a Zara jumper to nursery, and I did say anything with a Zara label is not nursery clothes.
Look for the Georgia Asda. That's where all my nursery clothes come from, or the Primark ones. That's the nursery clothes.
That's the nursery ones. I know, but yeah, everyone does it differently. But that's what seems to work for us. And yeah, I think that's
practicality is my middle name.
Exactly.
So I'm glad I know this now. Thank you.
Any other practical little gems?
No gems right now. But I mean, I know that you've got an idea of how you want to wrap it up, but I want to thank you for being so honest, like about like your experience in that, because I really feel like that is going to be so helpful for so many people. And I know, like you would say as well, like your messages are always open. Like, if anyone
100%. I've messaged a few people about this. And actually, like I know a girl that had split up. I think I've done this a few times. Probably people are like, oh my God. But I've actually proactively messaged people to be like, I was in your shoes 2 years ago, and honestly, my life is so good now, and I wouldn't change any of the process.
It's so blooming good.
I wouldn't have done my business. I wouldn't live in this house, which I just love, this area, which I love. I wouldn't have a closer relationship with my family and my friend. Not that I was like held away from that, but I rely on them more. I'm a better friend. I've done my business. I probably wouldn't have done my business. Like everything I think is better. So I can handle the fact that sometimes you lose the top of a cord. I can handle that. But yeah, I think the thing that I just wanted to, well, first of all, thank you to you, because I wouldn't have honestly like got through all of this if it wasn't for friends like you, genuinely. And I couldn't cry about anything that happened to me. I honestly couldn't cry. The only thing that brings me to tears is thinking about my friends and how they were in this situation. So my advice to people would be like, if you've got a friend that's going through this, they probably need you more than they're saying, and maybe just reach out a little bit more. Maybe just invite them round on a Saturday night. I think it's nights like that. Saturday night, people are watching Strictly, whatever people do on Saturday night. Do you want to come round and have dinner? And honestly, that's meant so much to me when people have done things like that to me.
Yeah.
And I just think the biggest thing is about your perspective. And the first time I heard this, I just thought it to not be true, but you choose your mindset. You choose how you feel about this. And when you're sad and things, you can't get out of it, but you have to try to do things to change your mindset around it, because it won't happen. It won't happen just to you. You almost have to do it. And I think thinking about the things like, it would have been lovely if we did that. It would have been lovely if we did that. Oh, I'm missing this and I'm missing out on this. Actually, sometimes, and this can make me feel like emotional, you gain things that you didn't even realize would be in your life that are just moments that are just so beautiful. Like the first time your partner meets your kids.
Oh God.
Or you've both got kids and they meet, or that they have a sleepover, or that they say that they love your partner.
And they get on so well.
Or like all this stuff that you just, in your drawing out your life plan, wouldn't have wanted. Let's be honest, you wouldn't want a kind of blended family. You would want to be with your child, most of the time, given like a few sleepovers at grandma's or whatever, but it's not probably what most people go into this thinking. But sometimes the magic and the beauty of some of these things that you just never thought you would have is like absolutely incredible. And the happiness that you get from that sometimes makes all of the sadness completely worth it.
Oh, Stacey, honestly, you're such an inspiration to people going through that. You really are.
You're so sweet.
You really, really are. Like, you really should.
And get yourself a good makeup artist. Because sometimes you just want to look your best.
Yeah, absolutely.
Stacey's your gal.
You were lucky you had me on hand there. Like,
yeah.
Like,
So, Stace, what we doing next week?
Oh, well, you won't believe it. You won't believe it.
No, you won't. Especially if you're on video. You're watching us on YouTube.
You won't believe it, but I am 40 in 2 weeks. I know. I don't look it. I look 50, but I'm actually 40. And I said to Stace, she said, like, I want to do a little bit of this and that. I thought, you know what? I'll do a little podcast on some of the things I've learned in these 40 years. I mean, it is absolutely by no means a shining example of anything that you should be doing. But I've learned a few lessons along the way, and I'm trying to jot them down, and thought, you know what, that'll be quite a nice one to do, to ring in the 39 plus one.
I can't wait. And I can't wait to celebrate your 39 plus one too.
Hurrah. I know.
So
it'll be great.
Until then, thank you for welcoming us back. And I love this, and we're looking forward to season 2. We'll let you know when this one. We'll be a bit more better at keeping you up to date with this one. And if you've got any topics you want us to cover, let us know, because we are always looking for suggestions. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.